Rev up your engines!
Well, if you've been following the news, Chevrolet has a big Camaro problem, and the problem is nobody's buying the things. The Camaro is the worst selling of all the muscle cars out there, by quite a margin. It's bad enough that Ford only sold 41,000 Mustangs in the third quarter of 2021. They only sold 15,000 Camaros. Everybody knows muscle cars dying, horrible gas mileage. Matter of fact, I had a soldier the other day. He bought a 2021 Camaro, and he says, man, I got to get rid of this thing. It's a gas hog. You know, you got it with the big V8 engine and everything in it. The muscle cars' days are numbered. There's no arguing that. Now, Dodge, of course, is at the top with the Chargers and Challengers. Still, the Challenger, they only sold 44,000 of them. And the reason that they're number one is because they combined the Charger and the Challenger. The Charger sold 61,000 of them in the third quarter. But I mean, the day of the muscle car's over. It wouldn't surprise me if they ever do electrify, bring the Camaro back as an electric car, just like the E-Mustang. I mean, come on, it's not a Mustang. It's an SUV. Using an old name to sell a new product. But what it comes down to is the Camaro's losing the race because they're only 9.3% of the muscle cars sold. 9.3. Now, that's not much. You can't make cars and make money if you don't sell enough of them. Realize that from 2002 to 2009, they didn't even produce Camaros. So it's not like it's an unending line, you know. They made a lot of mistakes, coming back to bite them in the rear end. Muscle cars and sports cars, they're not that popular. More things to do with their money to worry about a car that gets horrible gas mileage. So Johnny P says, how many miles is too many miles? When I was a kid in the 70s, cars with 100,000 miles are considered used up. Nowadays, I see 10-year-old trucks with 200,000 miles that people ask 15 to 20 grand for. It seems way too much money. Is there a standard for too many miles? All right. Well, of course, everything's gone outrageous with this coronavirus stuff. The prices of used cars is insane. I saw the other day, somebody paid almost $40,000 for a Honda Element that was originally $25,000. And it was 16 years old. People have lost their minds. What it really depends on is not just the mileage. Was it put on a highway? Highway mileage is equivalent to about 10% city. So if you had 200,000 on a highway, and that's all it did, it's like 20, 30,000 miles stop and go traffic. So that's okay. And, of course, the big one is, what kind of a vehicle are you talking about? Take a Toyota Tundra. They'll go 400,000 or 500,000 miles easily if you take care of them, right? On the other hand, if you're looking at a Dodge truck that has 200,000 miles, it's probably all worn out. So there's so many different variables you got to stick into the equation to figure out, you know, is it worth it or is it not? But even myself, I'm a cheapskate. And there's no way I'm going to pay 15 to 20 grand for something that's got 200,000 miles. That's insanity, but that's the way it goes. That's why I'm trying to help everybody here. Take care of your car. Do the oil changes. Change the coolant when it needs to be changed. Maintain it because you want to throw away 15, 20 grand for some worn out used car when you do? Or spend 60 to 100,000 for a new one? No. Take care of what you got. Greggy Yuga 1992 says, how many catalytic converters are on a 2005 Ford Focus? If it's still stock, it has one. Now, they also have mufflers and resonators. So you might be confused and you get under there and you see there's 3 lumps. Well, one of them's catalytic converter, one of them's a resonator to make it sound better, and one of them's the muffler to get rid of most of the sound. But then again, it's a 2005. Who knows if someone's modified the vehicle? People are often modifying things, but if it's still stock, if say it's all rusted and all the pieces are on there, you only got one on that thing. It's old style. And odds are it probably doesn't work all that well anymore, being a Ford, being a 2005. But don't get confused by there's 3 things there. How many do I have? 3? No, it only has one. It came with one. And when people modify cars, generally, they don't add more catalytic converters. They either take them off completely or just put one on when people modify them. Foreign Rider says, I got a 2020 Highlander and it's humming. 30,000 miles, my car was in an accident on a driver's front wheel. Insurance helped replace all kinds of parts. When I picked it up, it was humming. It get louder. I went back, I replaced the wheel bearing, the rim, rotated the tires, and it still hums. I took to other shops and they're clueless. What could it be? Well, one, crappy mechanics. Now, you said that the driver's front wheel, they replaced the knee assembly, inner tie rods, and the K-frame. All right? I'm assuming that work was not done correctly because if they didn't fix the frame and it's not aligned right, the wheel's going to be sitting wrong and the wheel bearing is going to hum because it's not aligned correctly, and it won't be because the frame isn't correct. Once they get wrecked, all kinds of stuff can happen. Now, another thing that can happen is it could have damaged the transmission. When it got hit, And it could be bearings inside the transmission. Now, something like that is so simple to figure out. Maybe not simple to fix, because it could be in a tranny. It may need the transmission overhauled. But to find it is simple. I've got the machine, and it only costs 80-something bucks on Amazon. You put headphones on, and there are 8 sending units and long wires. You stick them in different parts of the vehicle, you plug them into the unit where your headphones are, and you drive it. And you will hear where the humming noise is coming from. Believe me, it is not rocket science. And if these idiots were clueless, we don't know what it could be. They're idiots, because it's not that hard to pinpoint a noise. You're a humming, that machine will pinpoint. It's an $89 machine. Find a guy like me. If you're near Clarksville, okay, bring it to me. I'll put it on. I'll tell you what's wrong. Or go buy one on Amazon for 89 bucks and toy around it. The noise is coming from right here. Look, and then you can have the headphones get in. Here you go. Hear that noise? Come from there. What's in there? Oh, it's the transmission. Surprise. Yes, things have gotten that bad these days. Clowns working on cars, people in body shops saying they fixed something, they have no idea what they're doing. It's why you get in a big wreck. A lot of times, don't sign off on anything. You should have driven it, road tested it before you picked it up. Said, I want to hear it. It's humming, fix it. I'm not paying till that humming's gone. You got to be that rude to people these days if they're not going to fix it. Oh, we don't know what it is. You hear stuff? Don't accept. Make videos up with your phone while you're doing it, too. So then they can't argue. They're going to have to fix it right. Zach Boss says, I got a 2021 Kia Soul and it's burning oil. I bought it and had a recall for it. Kia Souls with the 2-liter non-turbo because an oil consumption problem with piston rings that weren't made. I went to the recall and they said, oh, it's running great. We'll upgrade the software. Well, it's burning oil and with only 14,000 miles on the engine. And now we have to do an oil consumption test. And they say it has to burn 1 quart of oil every 1,000 miles or they won't do anything. And now it's only burning half a quart, so they won't do anything. What can I do? Well, unfortunately, unless you have a time machine, go back in time and don't buy the car and buy something else, you're screwed. This is why I tell people, do not buy those Kias. They keep saying, oh, we fixed all our problems. You got a 2021 and they didn't build the piston rings right. Kia doesn't make good cars. They just don't. They have too many quality control problems. They just do. The Koreans always have. They've always made cheaper cars. It's just the nature of their business there. They're not high quality companies. They're making cheaper cars and sell them a little bit cheaper, but hey, you're really not getting your money's worth. And they won't do anything about it until you get to where they say, well, it's got to burn 1 quart of oil per 1,000 miles, and yours is only burning half. It just shows you the lack of quality in the things. It's just, that's the way those companies are. They don't care. Once they have your money, it's too late. You can complain to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.org. Go there and say, oh, it's burn oil, la la. And they might end up having to do an actual recall. If enough people complain loud enough. Now, it's 2021, and those things sometimes take years. So do it. Get your friends, anybody else has them. Get them all to do it. So they're going to yell that. And then maybe years down the line, you'll get thousands of dollars for them. But then again, a lot of times they get class action suits and they settle them out of court saying that, well, we don't admit any faults, but here's some money. And then they end up giving you like a certificate for $5,000 off your purchase of another Kia. Well, who the heck would want to buy another clunker after you had one, you know? But you're pretty much screwed. That's why I say don't buy those cars. You know, just keep changing the oil regularly and taking care of it. Take my advice, never, ever buy another Kia. Well, kudos to Mazda. Now, if you're buying a new Mazda Miata, they are all standard transmission unless you opt for the top tier Miata Grand Touring where you can get an automatic transmission. And I have to agree with Mazda on this. I always told people, you want to get a Mazda Miata, get a standard. With the automatics, they're dogs, they're horrible. They didn't hold up all that well. It takes away the fun of driving that small little sports car around. And Mazda's stuck to their guns now, and that's all they make is standards except for the very top tier one you can get with an automatic. Now, the 2022 standard transmission one started $27,300. And you're going to have to fork out $32,300 if you want to get the one with the automatic transmission. A lot more money. I agree with them. They're going against the grain because like in the United States, 95% of people don't even drive standards. They all drive automatics. But the Mazda Miata is a limited sports car for a limited amount of people. People don't buy that many sports cars. So they're making it for the people who want sports cars, and it makes total sense. They're logical about it. They didn't just jump on a bandwagon like all the other idiots do. Oh, they'll drive automatics. We got to make all automatics. No, if you got a particular thing like that, a sports car, the zippy, fun little thing, keep it standard, and you'll have loyal people buying them. Shows the Mazda guys made some pretty wise moves. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.